Rolling your neck, any space that feels like it's holding the most tension, moving through it. And when you feel called to, I invite you to meet me at your center, placing your hands wherever they feel the most organic. And when you're ready, taking a deep breath in through the nose, filling up completely. Holding on to that breath. And releasing out through the mouth. Once again, taking a deep breath in through the nose, filling up the lungs and chest completely. Holding on to that breath. And slowly exhaling. And on this last inhale, I invite you to take in any scent that brings you the most peace, the most joy, triggering your own clairsentience, whether it's from childhood or a scent you smell on a day-to-day, taking it in fully and completely. Holding on to that motion. And fully exhaling. Letting your breath return to its organic rhythm and just centering right now and where you're at. Embodying full presence and stillness. And starting from the crown of your head to the soles of your feet, check in with your body and notice if there's any specific point or region that's holding on to tension, that's holding on to emotional weight. Identifying where you're feeling the most viscerally. For me, it's my head today. So wherever it is, I invite you to bring your hands there and whatever you intuitively feel called to do, whether it's massaging it, placing your hands there still. Speak love to yourself. Know that anything you are feeling is perfect and okay. No judgment, only observation. Breathing into the space and exhaling any undoing of any knots. Surrendering. Releasing. Once you feel ready, bringing hands to heart center. Before we move into our time together, I invite you to place an intention. Speak an affirmation to yourself out loud or in your mind about what you're calling in to feel either for this session, for this lunar cycle that is incredibly potent, or for this new era that we're stepping into as social and creative creatures. And alongside that same intention, I invite you to set one for someone else in this gathering, whether you know them or you don't. Breathing into that intention. And on the exhale, concaving, stretching out once more, and we can get into the tea, darling. Yes, we love this. I'm so excited, guys, because today is literally the new moon. So the fact that we're spending the morning together means the absolute world to me. And I feel like it's probably the most intentional way to navigate this, especially because this lunar transit, I say this about like every single one, but this one in particular, being intentional with is incredibly resourceful and useful. So I'll talk a little bit about what's going on in the stars, how to work alongside it. I pulled some cards that I think are really, really relevant. And then, I mean, typically we would journal, but I think today we should do scripting. I do scripting not every new moon, but on like the most important new moons, and this one is really important. So we can script a little bit together. And then we'll move into some breath, if that makes sense for you, if that works for you. So the first thing I want to say is that today is the new moon in Taurus. It goes direct, I believe, at like 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we're kind of like, we're still within its window, but around 3 p.m. is kind of when it's going to be at its most potent. And obviously, you know, full moons are more related to releasing, new moons are more related to setting intention. But this particular new moon has a very strong aspect of feeling a little bit like a full moon, in that, I don't know if you guys feel it, but there's a bit of like a purge going on, which can get emotionally overwhelming and can feel a little bit like, you know, some loose ends are getting tied up, but I'm also, yeah, I truthfully feel awful. Oh my gosh, no, same. Especially because yesterday I was feeling great, and then today I woke up and I was like, oh, there's like 20 pounds of weight on me. But that is typically how it feels when things are moving through you. But it's worth noting that this is the last lunar transit that we have before eclipse season, which eclipse season, I don't know if you, typically you can tap in and you can feel when there's a lot of change that is on the precipice, which can invoke this sort of like anxiety inducing energy, feeling a little bit overwhelmed, emotionally overstimulated. Know that we are about to step into an era where so much is going to shift, so much in relation to our own identity, to the ways in which we relate to the world now that we're stepping into social aspects again, but ultimately just change in the way we see life and we experience life. So now that we're kind of in this last little lunar transit that we have more control of than typical, it's important to work alongside it and make sure that you are setting intention for what this life looks like moving forward. Now that you are going to experience so much change, especially because I think a lot of us have been craving change. I feel like we've been experiencing a form of stagnancy, and whatever that's looked like for you. Especially, and also if you tell me your rising sign, I can look and see like where the new moon is hitting you specifically, if you know it. But know that this is kind of like a little bit of a calm before the storm. Beautiful. Taurus, Virgo. Yeah, I can look at that right now, actually. Because it's important to know for sure. So if you are a Taurus rising, what does this elevation mean for you? New moon in Taurus. It's going to be hitting your first house. So yeah, I mean, anytime we have a new moon hitting our first house, there's this, it can feel really heavy because the first house honors our identity, how we show up in the world, and also how we identify ourselves. So there is this element of like, oh, I'm kind of rethinking everything about myself, rethinking, you know, just relationships and the way that I show up and the way that I dress myself and the way that I identify, even in terms of like social aspects, career aspects. So know that you're kind of getting a review in terms of like, who am I? And is that in alignment with my authenticity? And then if you're a Virgo rising, we have two of you guys. I love that for you. It's transiting your ninth house. So this is breathing some new energy into travel, right? And ninth house rules travel, social aspects, but it also rules our belief system, and most particularly our divine belief system. So now would be a beautiful time to review, like, you know, if I had any sort of relationship with religion, does it reflect true authenticity for me? Does it actually derive from what's expected of me, or have I built it on my own? Do I actually see God in a way that reflects the way I define the world, which sounds once again very convoluted, but it's making sure that your beliefs are derivative of truth for you rather than conditioning. So that's kind of like a little side note. But ultimately, outside of how it's specifically transiting your house, this Taurus new moon is just a really beautiful time to set intention when it comes to how we are going to live life most abundantly, most viscerally, most presently, right? We have the sun in Taurus, we have Uranus in Taurus, and we have now obviously the moon in Taurus, accompanied with Mercury and Venus in Gemini. So this is all about the fact that we can get very tied up in what we think we're supposed to control about life, right? Like, where is my career going? Where are my relationships going? Where is this going? And this transit, this time right now is kind of coming to say, yes, set intention in relation to, a solid foundation, which we will write about a little bit. But ultimately, why does it matter if everything else is working if you are not present and enjoying the most important parts of what it means to be human? So like, yes, you can have this well fleshed out career. Yes, you can have this like 5-star relationship. But if you aren't present with your meals, if you aren't dancing every time that you hear music, if you aren't basking in the sun, if you aren't actually enjoying this time that we've been blessed to be on earth, why does any of that matter? So I feel like we've had a lot of like emphasis on career and all of these different things that I think are more societal. And now we're coming back to like, but am I honoring my human life intentionally? So I think it's beautiful, especially when you guys are talking about the fact that you guys are going to be meeting up and stuff. I think experiencing socializing, experiencing dancing and laughing and indulging in all of our senses is very, very Taurus, but also very important that we come back to, because we're in a really important space where we are rebuilding society now that we're sort of reintegrating and we're making our own rules and we're undoing a lot of the rules that we've been abiding by. We're kind of choosing how we're going forward. And it's important to make sure that we're choosing how we're going forward in a way that's in alignment with our truth and not what we've been told to do thus far. So making sure, that our relationships, there are certain boundaries and maybe we didn't feel comfortable voicing before. And Michelle knows this, especially in relation to pleasure. That's been a huge theme at the forefront, especially with Taurus playing such a role. So like honoring, am I experiencing pleasure in every aspect, not just sexually, though very much sexually, but also like, do I enjoy the foods that I eat? Am I adorning my body the way that is reflective of like my true goddess embodiment? Am I actually, intentional with my self-care? Am I listening to the music that inspires me? Am I watching movies that move me? Am I actually indulging in pleasure and prioritizing it and not forfeiting for others' comfort? So that's like, I think, a huge thing at the forefront right now. And it's a difficult thing to navigate because oftentimes we don't feel safe and comfortable voicing and standing firmly in feeling deserving of pleasure. So know that like, if that's coming up in any degree at all, it's meant to, and it's a difficult conversation. That's why this probably feels a little bit heavier, but it's important to do so. And also just like in relation to this new moon, scripting is this way of manifesting or sort of like speaking into reality, this existence that you want through writing kind of like in first person what you want to experience and as if you're already experiencing it. So we'll do that. But it's worth noting that if you ever want like a guide in terms of what to do in relation to Taurus season and just in relation to like Taurus energy at all, reworking and speaking into existence how you want to relate to money is very, very, very important. To feel like you are money, to feel like you emit, embody, and attract money, and that you are deserving of money, and that money is defined by the intention behind it, and that you are ultimately deserving of it, especially in relation to your gifts, right? So I know I've talked a lot about like, who cares about societal conditioning? And like, obviously money can look like a societal thing, but if money is derived and imbued by purpose and intention, then it has nothing to do with societal conditioning and everything to do with like an exchange of energy. So really getting clear on that. And also just like presence, wealth, financial abundance, stability, and prosperity. How am I going to live life where I don't feel like I'm constantly, just figuring out how to get by, surviving instead of thriving, right? So we'll definitely write about that. Also, I just wanted to like share some of the cards that I pulled this morning, because I was like, okay, what is like the energy collectively, like what are we looking towards? And it was everything that I wanted to share. The first one that came up, which overwhelms me every time this comes up, is choose wisely, which it's always like depicted as sort of like the many paths that we can take in life and making sure that we are intentional with deciding which path we take, which that makes me nervous because it makes me feel as if things are very finite. And like, if I make one choice, I'm kind of stuck on that path, and I don't see life that way. But I will say that I think it's coming up right now because of the fact that we're in such a potent time where if there are any boundaries to speak on, we should probably speak on them. If there's any ideas that we want to execute, we should execute them. So making sure that however we are moving forward is authentic and true. I think truth is like a really, really, really big word right now, especially with, oh my gosh, there are a lot of transits that are supporting this. I think also particularly like Venus and Gemini, making sure that just whatever relationships you're supporting, whatever projects you're embarking on, what conversations you're having, that they're as honest and as truthful as they possibly can be because of how much work you've done to get to where you are now. Jupiter, which is this huge planet of abundance and good luck and prosperity, is now transiting Pisces. And this is going to bring a lot of luck as long as we are living in alignment with our spiritual truth and like actually honoring just what it means to be the most authentic version of you, especially because you've done so much work healing, so much work clearing your throat chakra, so much work standing in your truth that now it's important to act alongside your truth as well. And then I think the other card that I really wanted to show was, this is from like a goddess deck, and it's tuned into the natural rhythm of life. It's called the Rhythm card. And the reason why I just thought it was so special is because I think we can really be in a space where we are trying to control outcome and trying to sort of force a timeline that maybe isn't in alignment with our truth or will keep life safe. And so I think it's coming up to show just how if we just simply indulge in our senses and move from a space of purpose and intention and just experience life as it comes and ride the waves as it come, you know, not identifying with our emotion or drowning it, but rather just sort of observing it, everything will unfold better than you could have ever forced it to. So instead of forcing and controlling situations and people and complexities and things with autonomy, just rolling with them. And I think ultimately the last two that I'll show, because these came out together, are heart chakra and awareness. In this deck, it's called awareness, but in like the modern tarot, this is the magician, which is typically reflective of like you are able to live the reality that you desire to live as long as it's in alignment with heart intention and pure intention. So know that like as long as you are moving forward from a space of like, I'm being brave in my truth, I'm being courageous, I'm doing things that, you know, are for me and not for anyone else, and I'm well intentioned, the life that you want is going to inevitably build that instead of having to like figure out like, what am I doing with my career, what am I doing with relationships, all of that. So that's kind of the vibe. Because it is a new moon and things manifest better when we do them amongst group, I figured we could just script a little bit for like a handful of minutes, and then if anyone feels called at all to share what they're calling in for this reality, then by all means, totally do that. Especially if you speak a manifestation out loud amongst a group, it'll exist in more minds than once. And that is a way to actually like build some solid like girth to it. So yeah, in case you haven't scripted before, scripting is just writing in, is that first person? Me not knowing. Yes, I believe in first person. Just like this reality that you're calling in for yourself, but making sure that you are expressing gratitude throughout it, right? So like, oh, I'm so grateful that I'm, you know, in a space where I'm able to spend as much money as I possibly can because of the fact that I'm overflowing with wealth. Is there a color we're writing in? I am expressing. Yes, absolutely. Yes, it's green. Green has come up several times in the cards. I'm drinking green, but also just like green obviously is reflective of the heart chakra. So it's making sure that we are moving from a space of heart centeredness. So we're not too trapped in our minds, not too trapped in any other part of us that is like forcing, but rather for moving from heart, it's truth. Yes, I know. I also have to get my green pen, but I'm just going to like scoot back and get it. But yeah, so just I think the secret to scripting working is to feel every single emotion that comes up when you are writing in present tense, first person, this reality that you're calling in for yourself, right? So, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful that I'm in a relationship that supports me, that I'm feeling brave in my truth, that I'm voicing. So as you are speaking that into your, into your reality, feeling the emotions that accompany it and getting lost with it, having as much fun as you possibly can with it. And of course, go wherever you want with it. But if you do want to stick to like the themes of Taurus, it all dances around this idea of indulging in life, indulging in your senses, feeling confident in your sensuality and your sexuality, and also breaking any like financial blockages and beliefs. So yeah, I'm very excited to do this. Someone wants some music? Okay. About 1 more minute. Beautiful. Okay. Finishing up, any last thoughts? And if anything specific came up, maybe even something that you didn't realize you actually wanted to call into your reality, especially under the lunar transit, feel free to share. But the beautiful thing about scripting is you can kind of get lost in like that weird middle ground between fantasy and reality, and knowing that they're kind of one and the same all the time. Mine is just so much. I feel like every single time I would script back in the day, it would always be about like my career is at this point and I'm experiencing this kind of success, and like everything was very like goal oriented, and today's was just very much about like I just want to live a colorful life. I just want to make sure that I'm experiencing pleasure in every way, shape, and form. And that means that I'm like, traveling and seeing new things, and I'm dancing outside. I think I just really want to be outside again. I think coming out of like this period of isolation is very much like, I just want to make sure that the life I'm living out there is fun and authentic. And the fact that we can sort of choose whether or not we experience a heavy life or not, regardless of like the turmoil that we're going to inevitably experience, we can choose to make life lighter. We can choose to have fun. And coming back to the fact that like no matter what I'm experiencing, I'm just going to make sure that I'm having fun is kind of like the forefront of this scripting for me. So if no one wants to share, which by the way don't feel called to at all, we can do some breathing, some breath work. If you feel called to, if you don't want to stay for the breath work, I totally get it, because it is a bit it's different. But let me just set my stuff up. I'm trying to figure out which chakra. Does anyone at all feel called to a specific chakra to breathe through? Like, is anyone feeling like my chest is heavy, or like my, where's the tension being held? Oh yeah, root. Okay, yeah, literally also same. Same. So we can do some breath of fire then. Is the root the vagina? It's right next to it, baby. It sure is. It sure is. Do you feel like you're holding it on there? Well, I will say that the root could be feeling like it has some pressure. Root genuinely is all the things, yeah, but like physically it's right there. But what I will say is that the root could be coming up right now, especially because of the fact that we have so much transiting. We could just not be feeling stable, not feeling stable in our emotions, not feeling stable in terms of like, I don't know, certain decisions, certain opinions of people. Just like we can kind of be feeling all over the place a little bit. And whenever we're in a scattered place, our root chakra would need more intention. So yeah, so we'll do that then. Beautiful. Thank you. So once again, after all of this.
Can I share what I scripted?
Oh, please. Yes, I would love if you did.
Okay. So I wrote, I am connected to God's source within me, allowing me to connect with my intuition, my emotions, and to guide me with discernment. Connect more with my inner child and help me to connect more with my authentic self. I am releasing control of outcomes, and I am living in the moment and accepting others at their level in their journeys. I am dancing and singing and hugging family and friends. I am open to receiving and giving love, and I am welcoming new friendships with open arms and reciprocity. I am in love with money, and money loves me. It flows to me with ease. I give, therefore I receive. I am abundant, and I live a life of grace. I am love.
Wow. Fuck. Oh my God. Oh my Lord. Oh my Lord. From your mouth to God's motherfucking ears.
Period.
Holy shit.
Period.
While I was writing it, I was like, whew.
Yes.
Heavy, but I was like, I have to read this out loud.
I almost fell off my bed. I was like, whoa.
Because that was bad. I'm sitting here like, bro, you just spoke that for all of us. First of all, the way I just received that, like, thank you for calling that in for myself as well. Absolutely. You're so in alignment with what this evolution is meant to be for you, which is just like, at the end of the day, coming back to claiming your happiness and knowing that you're so deserving of it. And it's a matter of like clarity on what that happiness even looks like. Sometimes we can feel scattered when we're searching for happiness and things, or like just ideas that aren't actually feeding us. And so to know that like your happiness looks like embodying money, being deserving of money, laughing and hugging friends. And especially because you brought up intuition and like dancing, and those are both like the goddess cards that came out, intuition and dancing. So just know that like, you are so in alignment and deserving.
I don't know if anyone's seen the Beyonce gif where she's in a pool of money. I don't know. I think it's in the Upgrade You video. Anyway, that gif is literally what I visualized when Lori said that. When she said, I love money and money loves me, I visualized myself just like in a pool of money. And like, yes. old me would have thought that was really selfish and shallow to want for myself. And now I'm like, no, I can actually have that. Like, I'm okay. That's not selfish. Give me it right now.
Yes.
It's a good visualization. Do you guys know the cartoon DuckTales?
Yes.
Okay. Do you know like when the uncle, I forgot his name, the uncle that was rich and he used to dive into like his thing, his like pool of money, and he would like swimming in the money.
So much, yes.
That's what like I am visualize, like that's my vault. And like I open it up and I could go swimming in all the money that I have.
Yes, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. It's just feeling.
I like how I thought DuckTales and Amanda thought Beyonce.
I know exactly what Amanda's talking about too. But it's important to like rework how playful we approach money, because it can be this like heavy thing, right? So coming back to like, money is just fun, and we're deserving of it. We are money, you know. Currency exists in so many different ways, and like, you know,
we often worry about it.
Yes, exactly. And so this transit is all about like coming back to the fact that we can choose to embody it instead of worrying about it and repelling it. You know what I mean? And redefining its intention. So I'm so proud of you. Thank you for sharing that. Like I said, whenever you speak it out loud, it exists in more minds than one. And I'm seeing you live that life literally so viscerally in my mind's eye. And I'm seeing myself and all of us live it because of the fact that, like, you know, we're connected. So thank you.
Can I share something? Can you?
I would love that. Yes.
I am not gonna read the whole thing, but I feel like the last night I like was really hit hard in my feelings, and I kind of felt like I was in a place where I was doing like so much work on myself that I'm like, I sometimes get in these states where I'm like, when am I just like fine as I am? So I just wrote like, I want to be at, like, I am at peace exactly where I am, no matter where I am. Because I think sometimes like, at least I know I can do this. I'm like trying to be the best version of myself that I'm like just not present in who I am right now, which is fine, you know? So
yes.
I'm calling in that for myself.
Oh my God, Michelle. I relate to that so overwhelmingly, especially because I think healing is the bravest thing that you can do, but you can get addicted to it because it's kind of like, it's almost like a coping mechanism. Like if I'm constantly working on myself, I don't have to sit with who I am right now. And you're kind of like being avoidant with self. So recognizing the fact that like who I already arrive as is worthy of being experienced at full capacity. There's always going to be something, like always, always, always. My mother is working on herself and she's well into her 60s. You know what I mean? Like there's always going to be a version of yourself that is more desirable if that's, you know, the mindset that you choose. But if you're just like on this ongoing project and who I'm standing in right now is worthy of being seen and heard, that's, yeah, I can also get into like a healing hangover. Like I like to take breaks. It's important to like kind of find that time, you know?
That's what I like felt like I had yesterday. And then I want to share this last one, which I talk about this all the time, but since it's going to be all in our minds.
Yeah.
Sure. So I also wrote that I help women tap into their pleasure by connecting with their bodies and their senses. So I want that for myself.
Listen, the role that you have played, I'm not reading mine out loud only because I talk so much about sex. And I'm like, let me not start talking about like my pussy with the whole group. But like, honestly, you have played such a role in me standing firmly and knowing that I'm deserving of pleasure in all ways, more than one, but particularly sexually. So thank you. You are like embodying that truth so loudly, so bravely as well. It's important. You have helped me, Michelle. Oh my gosh.
Something that I really appreciate about Michelle is that she's, for me at least, has helped reframe like what someone who is heavily involved in these topics like looks like and acts like and talks like. Because I feel like for me, a lot of the women that are into this work are overly sexual, are overly like overt and loud, and that's beautiful because I'm all for that. But Michelle comes through and she's really like, you know, she's really calm and she's like, yeah, like this is the work I do. And it's like, I love that. I love that she doesn't feel the need to perform based on like what the archetype of someone who does that work should be. I really, really.
I actually, Amanda, you saying that feels so good because literally even like last night, like, because I read a lot about this stuff and like there's a lot of things that like, you know, it's very in your face, which is not bad. Like, and that's an approach that actually can be really helpful and has been helpful for me. But like, I'm, to your point, like, I'm not like that. Like, I feel like for me, it's like my way in. Some people's ways in are like, just like directly through sex. Whereas like mine is more through your senses. I don't know. I just feel like I'm not, it just doesn't come out that way for me, but it is nice to hear that like that's acknowledged and it's still a different way in, I guess. That's helpful for people. So
girl, what? That has deterred me a lot from other spaces because I think my sexuality is a little bit more subtle and I would get inspired but also kind of overwhelmed from a lot of women that were sort of like overtly talking about sex in kind of an aggressive way. I think it's an important energy to embody, but like you make me feel very, very safe because I see more of my sexuality within the way that you communicate it. So thank you for bringing that up, Amanda, because you're absolutely right. Like I connect with that so deeply. It's authentic. It's walking in your truth. That's exactly what we're talking about today. It's like making sure that we're living authentically with how we define success and sensuality and pleasure and all of that. So go off. Anything else, anyone, before we breathe into the root chakras?
I have another quick one, and then I'll shut up because I know you.
No, never, ever.
You know, I could talk to you guys forever. You said something about like the spiritual hangover and all those things, and there's a term for what I'm talking about, but I can't figure it out right now. And I will say that I have been taught that like when the ego gets spiritualized, and that shit is such a mindfuck, but it's basically when like your ego learns to disguise itself in a way that you think you are working on yourself, but you're really just stuck and full of shit. And you think like, oh, I'm reading a book, like, oh, I'm in therapy, like, oh, I'm doing the work. And you get stuck in a lot of like unhealthy behaviors because your ego is now spiritualized. And when I was taught that, I was like, I think that's exactly what I've been doing for like 28 years. Like, I don't even think I've been doing the work then. But yeah, so that is a nice reframe, because sometimes you can think that you're in it, like it's your heart, and this should really be your ego in disguise. But that was just something funny that I thought about when you mentioned that shit.
That's great. Oh my God. I've seen that. I've seen myself do that. I've also seen it, like, people will kind of use it as like something to like feel their own superiority. Like, well, I'm in therapy, you know, like I'm working on myself. Can you say the same about you? I totally thought that, felt it. That's so insane. If you can later on, like, find the specific term and send it to me, because I would love to read more into it when I remember the term. Okay, thank you, my queen. That would mean the world to me, because oof, I'm probably experiencing that right now. I'm just a little tired. I think I'm gonna take a break from like the physical component of spiritual work and kind of like marinate in life a little bit.
I think. Wait, last comment. Sorry.
No, please, no.
Literally, like, don't shut up when we're together, but whatever. So,
no, I love it.
As part of that, it makes me think of, like, I sometimes can be doing so much work internally that I'm in my head all the time, and it's like it's just stuck in my head. Like, to the point where it's like I'm learning things, I think I'm doing things, but like, am I actually outwardly in my actions doing these things? Like, sometimes I get the high of, oh, I'm doing these things because I'm thinking about them. But then when it comes to actually like implementing them in my life, it can be really difficult. And then that's when I'm like, oh, fuck, like, it's a lot. So
yes, exactly.
So that
okay, Michelle, your remedy to that is to like heal your nervous system, because for me what it is that I get so excited in the shit that I burn out, right? Like, I'm so excited for the project, right? I do like the, and then I'm like, okay, I'm passing out for like 3 weeks because I'm burnt out for the excitement. So you kind of just have to set more capacity energetic wise, so that when that excitement comes, you sit with it, you own it, and then you actually rest and do the fucking project, not just like burn out for 10 hours or 10 weeks. But yeah, no, when you said that, like, that's something that I do all the time. I can have an idea, start it, and it won't come to life for like months, because I literally was excited to the point of like napping for months. But yeah, just once we heal our nervous system, we'll be able to deal with that excitement at a higher capacity and actually put out these fucking projects.
Genuinely, bro, that burnout is so real. That vulnerability burnout. And also, I think I was also alluding to this a little bit when it comes to like this transit, because of the fact that like so much of implementing like the work that we've done on ourselves comes with like being in action oriented spaces. So we've been isolated, so it's been easy to do work on ourselves because we've been alone. So like now that we're kind of coming back into the world and redefining our careers, redefining our social circles, we kind of have to like implement like, am I comfortable speaking boundaries and saying no? Am I comfortable like, you know, saying yes to things? Am I comfortable like embodying this version of myself I've been pouring so much into when I'm outside versus when I'm alone and kind of like safe behind, you know, just like my own closed door. So yeah, it's a beautiful time to be thinking about that and finding the middle ground and just knowing that like you deserve to enjoy who you are right now, you know? So oh my God, I relate so much to where everyone is at. I think that's why it also feels a little heavy, but okay. Okay, so to get into the breath work, because we have like 9 minutes, I think that's all we need. Whenever we breathe through our root chakras, we do breath of fire. So just to show you, it looks like the pumping of the navel. So either through an O-shaped mouth or through your nose, like this. And you're obviously seeing the color red. I'll walk you through it, but that is the breath. As quickly, as slowly, as intentionally, as forcefully as is comfortable for you. I will play some music. Oh yeah, I was about to say, I was like, if you want to be off camera, please do. So totally. But yeah, so wherever you are, I invite you to move your body once more. Stretching out anything that maybe has gotten tighter, especially as we've been discussing heavier themes, but ultimately also calling in lighter things as well. Organically moving and stretching. Before finding yourself at center. And this time when we breathe, we'll be doing so to the count of 5. In numerology, 5 harnesses many things, but ultimately change. And as we breathe alongside it, knowing that we can handle, we can invoke, we can create change within our lives. So breathing in fully and completely to the count of 5. Holding on to that breath for another 5. And releasing for 5. Breathing in to 5. Holding on for another 5. And breathing out to 5. On these next couple of inhales, see yourself breathing in this feeling that you're calling in. Breathing in pleasure and presence and surrender. Holding on to the feeling and the reality of it. And exhaling any limiting beliefs, any attachment to outdated cycles and timelines. Once again, breathing in what you're calling in. Seeing it and holding on to it. And releasing. One last time, so be as intentional as you possibly can be. Breathing in pleasure. Embodying it. And releasing. Allowing your body to marinate. Sitting in stillness. Releasing any tension being held in the forehead. Relaxing your jaw, allowing your shoulders to drop. Notice if your body is holding on or tense, and giving yourself permission to let go as gravity is anchoring you down and earth is supporting you beneath you. Bringing your awareness, the energy that's emitting off of your body as you sit within yourself. Know that you can choose what you emit, and know that that will reflect what you attract. Alchemizing your own energy, know that you can call in the embodiment of money, the embodiment of peace, the embodiment of presence, the embodiment of pleasure, the embodiment of abundance. See yourself as gold. A gold that illuminates from within, extends 20 feet without, and mirrors exactly what you attract. You are exactly what you desire. You are exactly who you are meant to be. You are the main character of your reality who is so deserving of experiencing life at full capacity. A life where you eat the most vibrant foods, have the most intentional sex, have the most sincerest relationships, the deepest laughs. And experience beauty in every way, shape, and form. Bringing your hands or simply your awareness right below the navel as we tap into our root chakra. Know that whenever we tap into this chakra center, we're calling in our ancestors. We're calling in past versions of ourselves, future versions of ourselves. And that we are breathing through our relationship with safety, with stability, with security, with confidence, with trust. This red energy center is what fuels life for us. As we breathe into it as deeply, as quickly, as what is most comfortable for your body, know that we are alchemizing and pushing through any blocks and clearing your auric field. Taking one settling breath in, sighing that out. When you're ready, you can begin. Pumping the navel as quickly or as slowly as you feel called to. Seeing the color red move in and out and through you. Know that you are breathing through any limiting beliefs, any stagnancy, any ways of thinking that are not in alignment with your own evolution. Know that your ancestors, your guides, your goddesses, your angels are supporting you, are loving you, and are pushing you to be the most aligned and present version of yourself. You are deserving, you are worthy, you are enough. Last moment, taking in as much as you possibly can. Taking breaks if you need to and coming back when you feel called to. Last 20 seconds, making sure to be as intentional as you possibly can. Last few. Breathing in fully and completely, holding on to that breath within your root chakra center. Squeezing your root lock, your sex organs, your hands, your entire body, holding on to that pressure, breathing in even deeper. Bringing your hands over your head. Squeezing before you release, shaking out the energy, distributing it throughout. Before meeting yourself back at center, bringing hands wherever they feel the most comfortable. Marinating in the feeling. With your heart and your body open, either out loud or in your mind, please affirm you are money. I emit, attract, and embody love. I live honestly and authentically. I am rich in every currency. I am confident in who I am today. I am the best possible version of myself. I create my own stability. I am dancing with life. I am indulging in all of my senses. I emit, attract, and embody pleasure. I am gold. I am safe, held, and protected. I am guided. I am secure within myself. My words are spells, and I speak love. I attract what is in alignment with my highest good. I experience life at full capacity. I thrive. I honor myself. I honor my body. I see myself as sacred. All is well in my world. If there's any other affirmation that you feel called to speak on, I invite you to do so now. And as we close and go back to our days, I'm speaking over those that are with me now, those that are watching this recording, that you live in alignment with your truth, with your worth, with your value, and that value is driven of you and what you define as success instead of anything external, any expectation or conditioning. Know that as you are in this moment is already the best possible version of you. That you are safe within sisterhood, heard, and that everything you desire will manifest in alignment with the highest good of all those involved. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is. you're ready, you can come back or stay in whatever bliss you created for yourself. I'm so, so grateful that you spent this new moon with me. It means the world. Michelle, I can't wait to see you too. And the rest of you, I can't wait to see you at some point as well. I'm sending you all of my love. Thank you. Thank you. And yeah, obviously I talk to all of you guys, so reach out whenever. Love you. Oh, let me stop